Hello Cowboys Nation, welcome to another video, and without further ado, let's get to another round of news from America's team. Stephen F. Smith suggests Micah Parsons sit out the season. As Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys continue their contract standoff, Stephen F. Smith believes the All-Pro linebacker might need to sit out the entire season. There are players and teams being far apart in contract negotiations, and then there is wherever Parsons and the Cowboys are right now. Parsons wants a new deal before playing the fifth and final season of his rookie deal. The Cowboys don't want to give Parsons a new contract because he could get hit by a car. They're so far apart that Thursday morning on First Take, Smith suggested Parsons might have to do something brash to get Jerry Jones' attention. "If you're Micah Parsons, I don't think it's going to come to do this, please don't get me wrong, but in the interest of discussing his contractual business, I think he's got to be willing to sit out the year," Smith told Adam Schefter and Ryan Clark on First Take. "Because I think that's the only language that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones at this particular moment is going to understand. This is football. One practice can end your season. A practice can end your season, the wrong cut, the wrong hit, the wrong touch. It could end your season and compromise his long-term aspirations." Smith proceeded to note that Jerry and Stephen Jones aren't worried about Parsons' best interest, they're only worried about themselves. Which is typical from the side of the owner when negotiating a contract with a player, particularly one who is still under contract. As much as Parsons wants and deserves a new contract, and as much as the Cowboys are seemingly fumbling the deal, it's very hard to envision a 26-year-old All-Pro linebacker wasting one of the prime years of his career. But even harder to figure is how Stephen F. Smith could be calling for a player at a contract impasse to sit out a season in one breath, while calling for Bryce Harper to be suspended over an argument with MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred in another. Cowboys, Micah Parsons are further apart than they were in March. The Dallas Cowboys situation with Micah Parsons' contract is starting to become an issue. The game-wrecking edge rusher and two-time All-Pro and the Cowboys are further apart than they were in March, according to well-connected ESPN insider Adam Schefter. Parsons is playing on his fifth-year option and will be a free agent in March. He has made the Pro Bowl in each of his first 4 seasons and has been a first- or second-team All-Pro performer in 3 of his 4 seasons and is a 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year finalist. The Cowboys tend to make contract negotiations unnecessarily tenuous, and they are following that script with Parsons again. Schefter made an appearance on Get Up on Thursday and reported the potential for a deal is not good, at least in the short term. "Everybody has a perception that the deal between the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons is going to get done, and maybe one day it will because negotiations take twists and turns that you don't expect," Schefter said on Get Up on Thursday. But today, July 31st, they are further apart on a deal than they were in late March. It is not trending toward getting done. It's trending the other way, and I think there are major questions as to how this situation will be resolved. Schefter cited the acrimony between both sides, in terms of negotiations, since he reported neither side has submitted a proposal in months. Schefter hypothesized it had been since the NFL owners' meetings in Palm Beach, Florida, which were held from March 30th to April 2nd. When Jerry Jones spoke at the owners' meetings, he made it sound like a deal was at the doorstep, but it's not, Schefter said. Parsons has been holding out of practice for a new contract but has been at Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California, which makes things a little bit uncomfortable for both sides at the moment. But, according to Schefter, the Cowboys have the leverage, which is why they are balking at a new deal with their superstar face of their defense. "Each side is going to have some decisions to make here," Schefter added, because if they don't get a deal done, the Dallas Cowboys would have Micah Parsons under contract for $24 million. They could tag him next year for about $30 million. They control his rights for the next 2 years for anywhere between $52-58 million, which by the way is just below what some of these pass rushers are making on an annual basis now. But even though his presence bodes well for Parsons' future with the Cowboys, Schefter thinks it will be later rather than sooner before it does. "You have to wonder when a deal will get done," Schefter said. Something is going to have to change before the deal does get done. I can say with fair certainty that nobody knows how this is going to go, Schefter said. Cowboys urged to sign controversial $110 million defensive tackle. We're gonna learn really soon just how bad the Dallas Cowboys want to win in 2025. Pay edge rusher Micah Parsons what he deserves, likely making him the highest-paid defensive player in NFL history, means they're all in. In that case, what's the price to add just one more player if that player makes you a legitimate contender? We might find out the price if the Cowboys make a bravura move and sig controversial defensive tackle Christian Wilkins after he was released by the Las Vegas Raiders on July 24 over a breach of contract, and with $35.2 million in guaranteed money remaining on the 4-year, $110 million contract he signed with the Raiders in March 2024. Wilkins missed the final 12 games of the 2024 season with a Jones fracture in his left foot, meaning he will end up bringing home an incredible $55.5 million for playing just 5 games for the Raiders. While Wilkins has filed a grievance with the NFL Players Association over his release and the remaining guaranteed money in his contract, the Raiders claim the release was triggered by the manner in which Wilkins rehabbed his foot injury. There is nothing to seemingly prevent him from signing with another team in 2025. Should it be the Cowboys, it's a situation where Wilkins might be the final piece that makes the team a legitimate NFC contender, and would do so on a 1-year deal that could have a wild variation of prices attached to it. Think anywhere from $10 million to $20 million. Cowboys' interior defensive line doesn't inspire much faith. Signing Wilkins, 6'4" and 310 pounds, would address a defensive weakness for the Cowboys, stopping the run, which many singled out as the team's biggest weakness headed into 2025. The Cowboys were one of the worst run defenses in the league last season, Bleacher Report's Alex Ballentine wrote on July 28. They gave up the highest EPA per rush and more rushing touchdowns than anyone in the league last year. Looking at what they did this offseason, it's unclear what their plan is to improve the run defense. The bigger issue with Wilkins seems like it might be how he would impact a locker room dynamic after a report from ESPN's Adam Schefter indicated an incident between Wilkins and a teammate may have also contributed, in part, to his release. In your opinion, would this be a good signing? Write in the comments.